What's up, guys? It's your boy Barca Boy 103. Today we're going to be reacting to the Barcelona news over the past 48 hours, where there are a lot of topics that we have to discuss. Firstly, on Messi's return, we do have an update on the viability plan given to us by the economic vice president of the club, Eduard Romeu. He talks about the viability plan when we'll get the final green light go ahead and whether or not Messi was actually involved in the viability plan. And we also have an update on Messi's backup signing, which is Bernardo Silva, who of course plays in the midfield, and one of the priorities for Barcelona this summer is to reinforce the midfield. We do have an update on the signing of Sofyan Amrabat and Ilkay Gundogan and a few other names as well. We also have a big update on Juan Foyth, who of course is the #1 target for Barcelona this summer in the right back position. But of course, with players coming in, players will have to leave the club this summer. We do have an update on the future of Raphinha, Ansu Fati, also Pablo Torre, but the big one is on Jordi Alba. He has been given a dilemma from the club, 2 options to choose from this summer. We have those options. The question now is, which option will Jordi Alba pick? We also have a contract renewal update on Ousmane Dembele, where the club have made their official first offer to Dembele to renew his contract. He's received that offer and now he's analyzing it and whether or not he will accept it. We have some updates on the new kits for next season. Preseason confirmed for the summer for USA. More updates on the Tokyo friendly that we will play on June the 6th and how much money we'll actually earn from it. And finally, updates on Deco's appointment as a sporting director and also on the captaincy for next season as well. But before we get into it, make sure you guys smash that like button down below. Let's try to get to 200 likes in this video. Be very much appreciated. And also, if you're new, make sure you subscribe down below if you haven't already, and let's get into it. Let's start off with the transfer news over the past 48 hours. Now, our first is going to be discussing Barcelona's priority this summer, which is, of course, to reinforce the midfield. We do have some updates on very likely signings and also some options as well in case those likely signings do fall through. First up, the name that has talked about a lot over the past few days is, of course, Sofyan Amrabat, and there are reports coming out saying that Amrabat is the best positioned among all the candidates as Barcelona's new defensive pivot signing this summer. He's the priority. Now, I want to make sure I stress this before the club, not my opinion, will change anything, but I want to make my opinion clear on Amrabat. I think Amrabat is a fantastic player, but this is not Ruben Neves vibes, but like close to it, because Amrabat is not a pivot. He's not a single pivot. He can play in a double pivot if he has Frankie beside him, maybe a Franck Kessié, but by himself as a lone pivot, he's not the Barcelona mold. He's not the style that we need. Yes, he's aggressive, he runs into space, he puts in a good tackle, but it's not, I don't think he has the ability to progress the ball. He doesn't have the ability to, you know, find a variety of passes in different areas and, you know, move that ball from the defense to the midfield to the attack. I don't think he has that ability. Does Xavi maybe think he can grow on that? Possibly, but I think at the moment he doesn't really have that. I've seen a lot of games from him recently. I watched the Fiorentina match last night against Basel, I believe, in the Conference League, and he was playing in that match. He's a great player. I mean, if we sign him, of course, I'll back it. I'm just hoping that Xavi doesn't use him as a lone pivot. He's coming in as a direct replacement for Busquets in the pivot. I don't think it'll work out. But if Xavi wants to switch to this 4-2-3-1 next season, for have Frankie and Amrabat, Pedri or Messi in front, and all this stuff, then fair enough. So I'll wait and see on Amrabat. But again, he is right now the top priority in the pivot position. But another midfielder that will be joining Barcelona, not as a pivot, but just to reinforce it in general, is Ilkay Gundogan. Having Miguel from AES is reporting that Ilkay Gundogan has said yes to Xavi and he will become a Barcelona player this summer. Of course, a few weeks ago, we knew the agreement between Barcelona and Gundogan was there. It was just about how, like, what's the resolution in case he does not get registered? Will he give up some of his salary? Will he go out on loan? That was a part that still remained, but apparently now Gundogan has told Xavi that he will be joining the club this summer. Apparently he wanted to focus on Man City over the next few weeks as they are pushing for the treble, so credit to him, but it looks like Gundogan is favoring a move to the Camp Nou. Now, we have been linked with 2 other midfielders as well that fit the Gundogan and Amrabat mold. The first one up is Bruno Guimaraes from Newcastle. AS are reporting that Barcelona are interested in Bruno Guimaraes and have the Brazilian on their list of midfield targets in 2024. They see him as a possible replacement for Sergio Busquets. This is not going to happen because Bruno Guimaraes is one of the cornerstone players for Newcastle in their, big rebuild. They want to have Bruno in that midfield for the next few years. It will be damn near impossible to get him out of there unless he runs down his contract. He's a good player, but I can't see him joining Barcelona anytime in the future. But midfielder that I do see Barcelona signing at some point, maybe it's a possibility, is Hugo Guillamon from Valencia. Mundo Deportivo reported that Hugo Guillamon's name was discussed in the meeting that Barcelona had with Jordi Alba's agent. We'll talk about that meeting later on when we discuss Jordi Alba's future, but Jordi Alba's agent is also an agent of a few other top players. We'll talk about another few players later on, but the main one right now is Hugo Guillamon. Barcelona like Guillamon. He can play as a center back and defensive midfielder. He could come in exchange with Nico Gonzalez or even Pablo Torre. An operation is still in the early stages, but maturing for months from Barcelona's side. Now, I have spoken about Hugo Guillamon on the channel before. Again, good player. Would I swap him for Nico or Pablo Torre? For Pablo Torre, I wouldn't. For Nico, if the coaching staff really don't believe in him, then why not? You can get a good player that they would back as well. But if we're being linked with Gundogan and Amrabat, there's no way Guillamon's going to fit in. You already have Pedri and Xavi. You have De Jong and Kessié, unless you sell Kessié, of course. And then you're going to have Sofyan and Ilkay coming in. So unless we sell unless we sell Franck Kessié, I can't see Guillamon coming in. I think there are other options as well ahead of him, but Barcelona do like this young talent, and they will be monitoring him for the future. So wait and see what happens in the midfield. Again, it's one of the main priorities for Barcelona this summer, but I do expect Barcelona to sign both Ilkay Gundogan and Sofyan Amrabat. Now, a more advanced midfielder that Barcelona have been linked with over the past 48 hours has been Bernardo Silva, who, according to reports, is the plan B in the event that Leo Messi isn't signed. Again, a reinforcement in those attacking positions. Can play on the right hand side. It can also play in the midfield 3 on the left in the 8. He can play in the 10 as well, and it's a player that we have been following for a very, very long time. Now, Jordi Romeu, the main man himself, he was on a TV show, and I saw this clip. He was speaking about Messi, blah, 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 and he was like, if Messi doesn't happen, nothing will happen. We'll go for Bernardo. Then he stops talking. Then the person who's interviewing him asked him, said, did you mean to say Bernardo Silva? And then Romero was like, oh, I don't know. So whether he's doing that on purpose or he actually slipped out the name of Bernardo, I'm not quite too sure. But this has been rumored for a while. Of course, Jordi Alba said a few days ago that we don't sign Messi. The plan B will be playing at the Bernabeu on Tuesday night, and it was Man City against Real Madrid. Is Bernardo Silva a replacement for Messi? No, because Messi is irreplaceable. But if we don't get Messi, I would very much welcome the signing of Bernardo Silva, especially with Barcelona planning on selling some players in the attacking positions. Again, I think on the right wing, he can be world class. In the middle, he can be world class as well. Imagine a midfield 3, double pivot of De Jong and Amrabat with Bernardo Silva ahead of them. That, for me, is outrageous. Or maybe a double pivot of Gundogan and De Jong with Bernardo ahead of them. They probably could. They were one player away from seeing that at Man City, but we'll wait and see on Bernardo. Again, I wouldn't materialize this transfer in any way, shape, or form unless the Messi transfer is 100% over, which hopefully isn't the case. The news on Messi has gone quiet in the past few days, so we'll wait and see. We'll talk about Messi's possibility of arrival at the end of the video, but keep your eyes on Bernardo Silva in the event that Leo Messi's transfer does fall through. Now, another position for Barcelona that will be the priority this summer to reinforce is, of course, the right back position. As we all know, in the current squad, we have no natural right back. Our two right back options are a midfielder and a center back in Jules Koundé and Sergio Roberto respectively, but we have been linked with a few right backs over the past 40 hours, one of them being very, very concrete. First up is Jeremy Frimpong. Now, he does share the same agent as Jordi Alba. When Jordi Alba's agent came to have that meeting with Barcelona yesterday, his name was brought up on the table, has been confirmed by Canacer, and also the name of Pau Torres as well. I mean, we already have enough center backs. I don't know how Pablo Torre is going to be implemented, maybe in the future per se if he runs down his contract, but Jeremy Frimpong's name was mentioned. But as we all know, Frimpong is not the priority for Barcelona, and to be honest, he's not top 3. He's probably a 4th or 5th, but he's not top 3. But we all know the number 1 target for Barcelona in the right back position, and Xavi's main choice as well, is Juan Foyth, and we do have some positive news about Foyth's transfer. Is coming in from Eduard Gaston, who is the #1 source for Argentinian players. He of course writes for TYC Sports. He's come out saying that FC Barcelona are back in the charge for Juan Foyth. The Catalan club have resumed contact with the player's agent, and they have concrete interest. So over the past few days, Barcelona have contacted Foyth's agents over a possible move this summer. Of course, absolutely nothing done with Villarreal. I don't even think Barcelona have even given a breath to Villarreal yet. This is the beginning of a transfer. You ask the player if he's interested. You try to come to a pre-agreement on a contract, essentially, wages, length, release clause. Then you go and you talk with the club, which of course will be the very difficult part for Barcelona. Apparently Barcelona want to offer 30 million plus Nico for Juan Foyth, which I don't think Villarreal will accept, but at least Barcelona are talking to the agent. I mean that's progression in my eyes. Again, I don't see Foyth as a #1 option. If you ask me to pick any right back in the world, Foyth would not be in my top 3, but if Xavi's asking for him, you back it. And that way, if he flops, you point the finger at Xavi. You've got your team, no excuses. Go out there and get the results. So Foyth is the main pick for Xavi. I guess he wants a more defensive right back. That way, the left back, who's whoever's Alejandro Balde or Jordi Alba, can shift up, and you kind of form a back 3 of Araujo, Koundé, and Juan Foyth. Which, to be honest, on paper, at center back, that does kind of look disgusting. So we'll see with Juan Foyth. Again, Barcelona have begun talks with his agents over a move this summer, which apparently the talks are very, very concrete. Let's now discuss the players who have been rumored to leave Barcelona over the past 48 hours. First up is Raphinha. Now, again, the latest on Raphinha is that he's come out on Instagram saying that all the reports about him, thinking about leaving Barcelona are all lies. That's all he said. He didn't say he wants to say. He said those reports are lies. Whether he wants to leave, is thinking about leaving, or already decided to leave, I have no idea, but he has denied that on his Instagram. Since that, we have a report coming in from Juan Martin from Marlivo, who, of course, very, very reliable. He's come out saying that when Joan Laporta and Deco met a few days ago, there were positive vibes all around. Deco was even given a general overview of the situation by the president. Raphinha's case was also discussed. It will not be simple to solve. Some of the club believe that Deco's conflict of interest with Raphinha would keep on existing even when the Portuguese stop being his agent. Hence, they think that the best thing is to sell Raphinha. So, the situation is that I think Raphinha is thinking about leaving. I think, despite the fact he said no to it, Joaquin Pereira does not come out and just say stuff nonsensely. I think Raphinha, I don't think he's asked to leave. I don't think he's saying, I want to leave right now. I put a transfer request in. I don't think he's doing that. I think he's sitting there thinking, if an offer comes in, we'll take a look at it, just like how Barcelona is for the majority of players. Now, with Deco coming in, Deco is currently right now one of the agents of Raphinha. I believe he has 2, Deco and someone else. If Deco comes in, he's gonna favor Raphinha a lot. Oh, bet on Raphinha. Oh, Raphinha needs a contract renewal. Here's your, buddy. I got you, buddy. Here's double your salary. All this stuff is all gonna be conflict of interest. Talk about that a lot in the workplace, and here is no saying. There's a conflict that allows Deco the chance to be favorable to the player, and then that way the media will absolutely run away with it. You'll see Raphinha start week in, week out crap. Oh, it's because of Deco. So that's why the club think it's best to sell Raphinha if Deco is appointed. And to be honest, I kind of agree. I think if Laporta really thinks Deco is the next coming of life and he really wants him to be the sporting director, I think that does mean you should consider selling Raphinha. Now, I'm not saying sell him no matter what. Of course, the price has to be correct. 90 million, you sell him, bada bing, bada boom. But I think you cannot appoint Deco if Raphinha is still a Barcelona player, because again, that conflict will be there. Just like, you're say, for example, you're a journalist, you cannot interview your mother, even though she might be a great source, because that's a conflict of interest, because she's your mother. You can make her say stuff that you want to put in the articles. You have to interview someone else with her expertise. Same thing here. So, always see with Raphinha, again, he's still denying all this on his Instagram, so I have no idea if Raphinha actually wants to leave the club or not, but I think no doubt a sale will be considered for Raphinha this summer, especially with Newcastle and Chelsea ready to match the offer that Barcelona are asking for. Now, another forward who is also on the exit block this summer is Ansu Fati. Again, Barcelona, the club, his agent Jorge Mendes, and his father Jordi Fati are all considering an exit this summer, but Ansu Fati has always been firm that he wants to stay at the club, but will consider his future if Xavi tells him he's not part of his plans. Looks like that's going to happen. Javi Miguel from AS has come out saying that Xavi will inform Ansu Fati that he does not count on him for next season once Barcelona win La Liga. It could happen on Tuesday. If Barcelona win the league on Sunday, the departure of several players will be accelerated after La Liga is sealed. I am so intrigued to see Barcelona's plan for this forward position. Because apparently we're going to sell Raphinha and Ansu, which means that Ferran Torres is going to say Dembele has not renewed his contract. You're going to bring in Abdi, then what? Sign Carrasco? Like, I think the club really need to think what they're doing here. I get it, Ansu Fati's had not terrible, he hasn't had a good season. But I certainly would give him a year if, of course, a good offer doesn't come in. And by good offer, I mean like 60, 70. That's what I'm thinking. Okay, we can negotiate. I think the ideal price sell Ansu Fati would be around 80. But if a 60, 70 offer comes in and you think about it, of course, Wolves offer 30 plus Ruben Neves, which is about a 60 million euro valuation package. But does Xavi really not trust Ansu Fati that much? I mean, he's been absolutely backing him the whole entire season. He's the future. He's world class. On his day, he's brilliant. He's the number 10. He's the future of this club. He's the past, present, and future of this club. Week in, week out in the press conference. But as soon as the season's over, you're going to tell him to leave? I don't think that's the right move. I think you wait for the offer to come in. You analyze it. Hey, we're going to bring in Abdi and Carrasco. Look, Ansu, I'm sorry. This is life at Barcelona. You either make it or you don't. That's fair. But to tell him straight away, I think is the club rushing to conclusions. I feel like the club are trying to, really cash all in here for Messi, which I don't blame them, to be honest. But I don't want to give up too much of our future for 2 or 1 year of Messi. Even though that 1 or 2 year will be freaking fantastic, I think the club should really consider this Ansu Fati situation, because of course the price that we do want ideally probably won't come in this summer. So we'll wait and see what happens with Ansu Fati. Again, according to reports, Xavi will tell him to leave the club this summer, as he does not count on him for next season, and that, according to reports a few weeks ago, would be the final straw for Ansu. Now, a player in my eyes who will undoubtedly leave Barcelona this summer, but hopefully on a loan move, it will be Pablo Torre. Javi Miguel from AS came out saying that Barcelona will try to loan out Pablo Torre to a first division team next season. Of course, Javi Miguel a few weeks ago came out saying that Villarreal are the best placed team. Hopefully we can use that as part of the Juan Foyth negotiation. He was rumored to be part of a swap deal with Valencia as well. I can't see the club selling him. I think the club may chuck him into a few swap deals to see if a team bites for him or not. But otherwise, I think a loan move is very, very likely. He didn't get any minutes this season. And with the midfielders that we are bringing in, he's got no chance. Pedri, Gavi, De Jong, Kessie, Amrabat, Gundogan. He's got no chance. And if we don't sell Nico stays as well. So we'll wait and see with Pablo Torre. I think 100% he will leave the club this summer in some way, shape, or form, with a loan being the most likely outcome. Now, players featured at the moment that is currently in doubt is the third captain currently, of course, second captain next season of the team, Jordi Alba. 1 minute he wants to stay in Barcelona. He wants to have his kids here. He's still got 1 more year after his deal. He loves Barcelona. Next minute, his friend leaves, and now all of a sudden his future is in doubt. Now, his agent was in Barcelona and the Ciutat Esportiva 2 days ago to have a meeting with Mateo Alemán and also Jordi Cruyff. And in this meeting, the club communicated to Jordi Alba's representatives that he has 2 choices to make. This is coming in from Sport. They've come out saying that Barcelona have presented 2 options to Jordi Alba. 1, possible termination of his contract so that he can negotiate with other teams and leave now. Or secondly, a very significant salary reduction. Now, how significant? I have no idea. He currently earns around 200 to a quarter of a million euros per week. For me, he's got to bring that down to at least 100,000. I don't think, if you have Raphinha and Dembele on 120,000, I don't think Jordi Alba should be anywhere near that. I think if we're being based on his position and ability right now, he probably should be earning around 80, the same maybe salary as Inigo Martinez. But, you don't want to disrespect him too much, but that's the life we're currently living in. Juan Martí came out saying that Jordi Alba's main will still is to continue at Barcelona next season. But this is what I want to see, an ultimatum. He has 2 options and he will decide from one of the following. And Xavi, of course, will have a big role to play. Javi Miguel came out saying that if Alba wants to continue next season, he knows he has to take a salary cut Xavi plans to meet with him in the coming days in order to tell him the painful truth, to pick the club and, pick the economic situation, or to leave the club this summer. I tell you what, if Jordi Alba is leaving, just kick out Roberto. Let's just have a fresh start at this point. I mean, my God. If we go August 2023, La Liga kicks off probably August 10th, and freaking Sergio Roberto is the captain, we're in for an absolute howler of a season. So, well, I'm not saying Jordi Alba will make any difference, but just leaving that out there. So Jordi Alba, given the ultimatum, I cannot praise the club enough for this. We've been calling for this for the past few months, and for me, this is absolutely 100% the correct decision. He has two choices: leave the club, letter of freedom, terminate your contract, leave, and you can negotiate with any club you want to, however you want, or two, in order to stay, must take a significant salary reduction. Let's now discuss the contract renewal updates around the first team at Barcelona. Just one update, and it's a big one on the contract renewal of Ousmane Dembele, who, of course, his renewal should be a priority in my opinion. We have to back him. We have to see if he's committed for the future. If we're going to sell Raphinha and Ansu, because we can't sell them, then Dembele's like, oh, I want to go to adios, and we're just going to sell all of our wingers and have no one. Of course, he's very key for Xavi, and the club do want him to continue beyond his current deal, which expires next summer in 2024. But in the month of July and August, he will have a release clause of 50 million euros. But the good news is that Barcelona is on top of this. Luis Rojo from Marca came out saying that Barcelona have offered a 5-year contract renewal to Ousmane Dembele until 2028. The news was confirmed by everyone else as well, Sport, Mundo Deportivo, but the years were a bit off. So Luis Rojo saying 2028. I think Mundo Deportivo said 2026, but Sport have come out saying 2027. They've come out saying that Barcelona has already offered Dembele a renewal until 2027. Negotiations are already underway to secure his continuation. The player wants to stay, and the club believes that an agreement can be reached in the last few weeks. Dembele's entourage has studied the proposal to continue with negotiations. The idea of Mateo Alemán is to be able to have this issue practically closed before June the 30th. Again, we talked about this in Alemán's tasks for his last month and a half at Barcelona. Reduce the salary, sign Messi, renew Dembele, figure out Busquets' future, cut Jordi Alba's salary, De Jong, Ter Stegen. So this is part of the plan for that, and hopefully there's gonna be no issues this time. If they want to say no, just say it to us straight up. Tell us how it is. Don't drag us on for months and months and months. Hopefully both Dembele and Moussa Sissoko have learned from their last renewal last year how it was an absolute roller coaster. Again, apparently Alemán wanted to ban Dembele completely from the first team, which he did do, of course, but then Xavi begged for him to come back. He came back, of course, scored the goal, didn't celebrate, and the fans ended up cheering his name exactly how Xavi said it. So we'll wait and see. I do hope that Dembele does renew, and hopefully the renewal, there's not that too big of a salary increase. Hopefully it's just a release clause adjustment and, longer length on the contract as well. So we'll see with Dembele, but Barcelona have officially made their first contract renewal offer to Dembele, and now Dembele's camp is analyzing the offer. Let's now discuss some of the news surrounding Barcelona over the past 48 hours. First, I want to discuss Barcelona's ways of increasing their revenue over the next month. First up is not with player sales, but players with future sell-on clauses with it. Now, of course, we did sell Jean-Claire Todibo to Nice, I believe, in 2021. If I'm not mistaken, and in that deal, we did reserve 20% of any future fee that Nice do end up getting for him, and apparently this summer, Todibo is on the move. Fabrizio Romano's come out saying that Manchester United, Liverpool, and Newcastle are all interested in Jean-Claire Todibo, of whom Barcelona reserved a 20% future sell-on clause for. The Frenchman's price is set at 45 million euros. Now, if you do 20% of that, that's 9 million euros. Bish bash bosh. 9 million euros coming to the Spotify Camp Nou. Yes, please. I've seen a lot of people talk about Todibo on social media. Oh, imagine Todibo and Araujo has a center back partnership. Blah, 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 blah. Who cares? We've got Koundé, Christensen, Araujo. We don't need Todibo. I guess he had attitude problems. I was one of the few that was begging and backing Todibo from 2019 when we signed him that January. I was backing him since then, since time, but apparently he had attitude problems. He went clubbing and stuff like that. A lot of the players didn't like him. I don't know what. But anyways, he's future, he's history, but he could be bringing 9 million euros to Barcelona's bank account this summer. Now, another way that Barcelona will be earning some cash this summer is, of course, through playing friendlies and preseason as well. As we all know, on June the 6th, Barcelona will be traveling to Tokyo to play Vissel Kobe in a friendly match. And according to Deportivo, Barcelona will earn around 3 million euros by playing the friendly match against Vissel Kobe in Tokyo next month. I thought it would be more, to be honest. I think the match in Sydney we earned, was it 4? Maybe it was 2. I don't know, but it's a fair amount, honestly. Quick little chip, 24 hours, go there, you earn your bucks, and of course, I think even there as well, the club will earn money as well from merchandise sales locally, other things, other avenues as well. So I'm not too concerned about this. Again, the club should be doing this. We did it last season with the A-League All-Stars. We also played Boca Juniors last year as well. That's when we were desperate. We had to throw another friendly, I believe, end of December, if I was not mistaken, before the Christmas break. So that's when we're desperate. But again, it's a good way. I think, again, in Tokyo, in an Asian country where they don't get much games televised during good hours, I'm going to have to wake up for this match probably at 3, 4, 2 a.m. But small price to pay for salvation. It will be good revenue for Barcelona to earn. Hopefully that can go towards our transfer budget or decreasing the wage bill and financial fair play. Another way that Barcelona can earn the money, of course, is through the friendly match they will be playing this summer, where the tour will be taking place again in America. Fernando Porto from Deportivo has come out saying that Barcelona will face Real Madrid, Juventus, Arsenal, and AC Milan during the preseason tour in the United States in July. El Clasico is expected to be played in Dallas, while Los Angeles will be another one of the venues. So 100% Barcelona will be playing in Dallas, Clasico, and Los Angeles for one of the other 3 games. But again, high-profile teams. This will be great for preseason to face, teams at a very, very good level. Of course, Madrid, Juventus top team, Arsenal challenge for the Premier League, AC Milan Champions League semi-final, and pushing for top 4 in Serie A as well. Good competition, good matches. It won't be, New York FC and all this other stuff that we played over the past few years. I think we played Leipzig, the Red Bull team in Austria. I forget what that's called. That we played Wolfsburg, I think, or something like that. So good competition, and of course that will earn more revenue from the stadiums and selling merchandise there locally, and promotions and advertisements there. All the videos they will make at the training camp as well in America should all earn much needed revenue for the club. Now, the best way for Barcelona to make revenue, of course, at the club is by selling merchandise, and we do have more elite images of the kits for next season. Of course, I showed you guys the home kit on multiple occasions, and we do have more images of the goalkeeper kit and also the second kit as well. Now, firstly, you can see the goalkeeper one on the screen right now. Again, all the kits will have that diamond where the Barcelona badges to commemorate the women's team and their growth over recent years. And again, it looks very, very similar to this season, except there's some tiger stripes and different shades of green on the kit. Right now, the the goalkeeper kit, I think, is just dark green on the outside with a little bit of a light green down the middle. But here we stripes. Looks pretty generic. I'm okay with it. No one really buys a goalkeeper kit, let's be honest. Sorry, Ter Stegen. But the second kit, we do have some official leaked images of it, and they're on the screen right now. Again, it will be white, and we'll have the 1970 Barcelona crest as the badge. I do not believe the badge will have the diamond on it. I am not quite too sure. I don't think it will. I think the second kit will have it, but I don't think the third kit and the first kit will have it. I don't believe the second kit will. I also saw the jacket for this kit as well, which looked pretty fire, but I still think it's so weird we're going to be playing in white. I get it, we did it in the 70s, but it's a big push for me. I never wear white for an obvious reason. I don't have anything that's white besides my laptop and iPhone chargers, but I'm gonna buy the kit obviously because I buy all the kits. But very, very intrigued to see how this goes down with the fan base and to getting used to it as well for next season. But again, slowly but surely, the images are coming out for the kits next season, as it will be one of the main avenues for Barcelona to earn revenue. Now, the man who is behind all of Barcelona's economical decisions, situations, analysis, and planning is, of course, Eduard Romeu, who I believe is the Vice President of Economics at Barcelona. And yesterday, he did do an interview with Mundo Deportivo discussing the feasibility plan presented to La Liga over the past few weeks, but we are expecting an answer at some point next week. So we're going to go through his interview and see what he had to say on the Barcelona's feasible plan and also on some other important topics as well. He's come out saying that I am convinced that La Liga will give the okay next week. In the SEM viability plan, those 200 that had to be cut in expenses, we must also count an increase in income and continue. He's then asked on the possible return of Lionel Messi, saying that Messi is not valued in the plan. You have to be conservative, and we only talked about fixed photos and true things. A person like Messi always adds up, and La Liga would do well if Barcelona were in a powerful position. That's quite big, honestly. He's saying that Messi was not presentable in Barcelona's viability plan. He was not included in any way, shape, or form. I think he is capping here, but we'll have to wait and see. He was then asked on the reduction left of the 200 million euros requested by La Liga. He said that we've already made a significant number of it. It is true that some points are more immediate than others are in those 200 that were cut in expenses, but an increasing income must be counted as well. So he's saying that we're making good grounds on this. Again, according to reports, we've already achieved 120 million of the 200. We just need now 80 million euros. So hopefully we will be on the right track for that. Romeu continues on by saying that we are in a very good position. We must keep going. We're in a high compliance with the objective. It is also true that the sports salary issue has done a great job at Midfield and there is something else left. He was then asked about La Liga responding by next week. Will it be possible or not? That look, in the end, it is that they validate the work done from the different areas headed by the economic area, and I am convinced that they will give the go-ahead next week. I have no relationship with La Liga, but I'm not aware that there is a problem behind clarifications with some concepts. Then asked about Tebas' correlations towards Barcelona, said that Barcelona is an important club in La Liga, and this is a regularity. There must be an understanding between both parties to reach a reasonable point. If not, it's a negative for everyone. La Liga would do well for Barcelona to be in a powerful position because there are other leagues that are acting more and more aggressively. They have more metrics which are allowed. They handle much more money, and that's the audience revenue going elsewhere. Then asked on La Liga helping in the return of Messi, he said, look, I don't know, but I think that a player of Messi's depth is well received anywhere, right? So logically it's purely technical. I do have ancestries beyond the sympathy that we have for Lionel Messi, who of course is the best player in the world. That he was asked about, and the final thing he was asked was about Messi's return, how will it impact Barcelona financially, so that we did not value that yet. We only talk about still photos and certain things. I don't have the players who end their contracts for the following season, but then it could happen that someone renews, it is not established, and then people who are not in the club and perhaps the technical parts intends to bring them. You have to be very conservative and realistic with what is true. So Romeu is basically saying, look, we've sent our plan. We're hoping to get the go-ahead green light next week. I believe next Friday is the 19th, if I'm not mistaken. And he is saying that Messi is not part of that viability plan, which I think, again, he is capping. He said that Messi's return would be greatly impactful financially, but you never know what happens with Messi's return. And also whether La Liga will help. He says it's not quite, he doesn't know, but of course, La Liga would benefit so much from having Messi back. So he's basically saying everything we already knew, except the one big light is that we are expecting the green light, the official go-ahead next week for Barcelona's viability plan. Now, someone that will be having a very busy summer this June is, of course, Joan Laporta, as he is in search for a new sporting director, with Deco being the favorite. Of course, we talked about this earlier in the video in the Raphinha section, but we do have another update on Deco's possible appointment in the SD role. Roger Lowe from Mundo Deportivo came out saying that Deco wants to be as involved as possible in the sporting decisions from the first team to Juvenile A. He wants to negotiate contracts and establish the team's philosophy by looking for appropriate players. So essentially, Deco is asking for freedom beyond belief. He wants to make decisions. He wants to have the full backing. No matter what he does, Laporta will stay firm with his decision. This is the risk Laporta's going to have to take. Well, what Deco says, oh, sell Raphinha and bring in Ananyanzai. Will Laporta, back him then? Of course, that's a very unrealistic option, but Deco's basically saying, look, I want your 1,000% trust, and I want to be involved and make decisions from everywhere, from the first team all the way to Juvenile A, which, to be honest, is the right thing for a sporting director to do. Of course, Mateo Alemán, the reason why he's leaving, that he didn't felt that. He didn't feel like he had the decision making, that he had, not the veto power, but his vote didn't count for that much. It's either Laporta says yes, and then he has to do it. Xavi says to Laporta, I want this. Laporta says yes, and then Alemán has to go do it. So he wants to be involved, and that's what Deco wants reassurance of. So we'll see how this develops over the next few weeks, but I am expecting that Deco will be appointed as a sporting director for Barcelona for the upcoming future. Now, speaking on the future, the final topic that I want to discuss before I end off this video is giving you guys the updates around the captaincy at Barcelona. As we all know, Piqué left. He was the second captain back in December. Ter Stegen was promoted, and now Busquets, the first team captain, is going to be leaving, and that means Barcelona need to find a new captain. A lot has been thrown out recently. We've heard De Jong, Pedri, Araujo, Lewandowski, and even Ousmane Dembele. But we do have the updates coming in from Miguel from AES. He's come out saying that Xavi has approved Araujo and Lewandowski to be the next season's 4th captain. They have everyone's consensus too. One of them will be the captain for next season, and there will be a voting process that will be done during pre-season. Of course, that means that Roberto will be number 1 captain, Jordi Alba number 2, Ter Stegen number 3, then the 4th one will either be Lewandowski or Araujo. But Javi Miguel has also said that if Jordi Alba leaves, then both Araujo and Lewandowski will be captains. Which order they will be in will be voted upon. So right now it's going to be Roberto, Jordi Alba, Ter Stegen, then one of Araujo or Lewandowski. If Jordi Alba leaves, it'll be Roberto, Ter Stegen, Araujo and Lewandowski. The order is still to be determined. Now, Javi Miguel also came out saying that in the summer, Dembele had jokingly proposed to be one of the captains, and his teammates didn't know how to react since they didn't know whether or not he was playing around or being truthful. I think, again, Dembele, 1 year left on your deal. He can become a 4th captain, but I don't think he should be top 3. I don't think he should be considered for the 4th spot right now, especially with Jordi Alba possibly being leaving and him being promoted up to 3rd. So I think if, Araujo maybe gets 3rd, Lewandowski 4th. Once Lewandowski ends up leaving, then you can consider Dembele to take his spot. But I'm very, very happy to see true leaders become the captains, not just based on longevity, because if it was just longevity, then Dembele and Frankie De Jong would be the next in line for the captaincy, but they're actually picking true leaders, and I do respect that highly from Xavi. So we'll see on the captaincy. Again, it could end up changing. Messi could come back and change everything, and Jordi Alba could end up staying. That means only one of them become a captain, but there is a very, very high chance Barcelona will be getting new captains this summer. So that was my reaction to the Barcelona news over the past 48 hours. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like, and of course, leave me your thoughts down below in the comments on everything we discussed. The main thing I want to firstly, of course, is your thoughts on the return of Lionel Messi, and more specifically around that Eduard Romeu interview. Do you think he was actually part of the viability plan or not? And do you see Messi's return likely this summer? And how do you feel about Bernardo Silva being the backup option for Messi signing? Secondly, your thoughts on the midfield reinforcement. Who would you bring in? Would you bring in Amrabat, Gundogan, Hugo Guillamon? Would you go for Bruno Guimaraes? Any other name that you would be interested in? And what are your thoughts on Amrabat being a lone pivot? Thirdly, your thoughts on the Dembele renewal. Think it will happen or not? Think it will drag on again like last year, where Sissoko will come and ask for a Ballon d'Or salary? And finally, your thoughts on Jordi Alba's situation. What do you think he'll decide? Will he decide to take a salary cut and stay, or leave the club this summer? And of course, make sure you guys subscribe down below if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys next time on the channel. Take care, and Forza Barca.